I'd like to welcome everyone to this afternoon's hearing where we will discuss and examine the Graham-Cassidy-Johnson-Heller health care proposal. Given the relatively unique circumstances we're facing with regard to health care generally, and this proposal in particular, the Senate Republican leadership as well as members of the conference have asked for a hearing on this proposal so that we can all get a better sense of how it is intended to work. Toward that end, we have two distinguished panels of witnesses before us today. The first panel will feature statements from two of our distinguished Senate colleagues. If the police would please remove that person, we'd appreciate it. And keep the doors shut. Okay, the second panel will feature another one of our colleagues who is also a member of this committee. We'll hear from a friend and former Senate colleague on the second panel as well. Joining them at the table will be experts and stakeholders who are here to share their views on the proposal from Senators Graham, Cassidy, Heller, and Johnson. The purpose of a hearing is to respectfully discuss ideas and become better informed on particular issues. The purpose of a hearing, as I've said, is to respectfully discuss ideas and become better informed on particular issues. It does not mean that everyone shares the same views and opinions. In fact, I expect that quite a few disagreements will be expressed today, and that's okay with me. I've been in the Senate for 4 decades now, and in that time I've been a part of some very difficult and contentious debates. Early on, I was part of a fierce debate over labor law reform. Over the years, I've participated in some of the most heated Supreme Court hearings in our nation's history. I was here to take part in drafting, debating, and passing the Americans with Disabilities Act, one of my proudest accomplishments. I was around when the debate over the war in Iraq became extremely combative. And of course, I was here when we debated Obamacare before it passed. And I've been here for every debate we've had about it since that time. So I've been through an awful lot of this, and it's nothing new to me. So I understand that there are some strong opinions about this issue. And more importantly, I understand why opinions are so strong. When we talk about health care policy, we're not just talking about a theoretical concept or legislation that impacts a single isolated industry. This topic has a significant impact on the lives of every person in this country in ways that can make or break both their health and their livelihoods. Frankly, because this issue is so personal, everyone has strong feelings on all sides of these issues. If we could shut that door and keep it shut, I'd appreciate it. To members of the committee, to those in the audience today, and to any person who may watch or read about today's hearing at some point in the future, let me say this. I respect your opinions on these issues, but while I wish that expressions of goodwill could on their own fix our nation's problems, that is just not the case. We have to do the work, and on these issues, the work is particularly hard. Today, we're here to discuss the most recent health care proposal drafted by some of our colleagues, and I commend them for their efforts and their willingness to put forward ideas to address these very difficult problems. My hope is that we can spend our time today questioning our witnesses about substance and policy, not on scoring political points, particularly when we have distinguished colleagues and a former colleague at the witness table. I know that for both sides of this debate, passionate demonstrations and righteous indignation, particularly when there are cameras in the room, make good fodder for Twitter and TV commercials, especially when the subject is health care. Our committee is generally regarded as being above such shenanigans, though we haven't been entirely immune to these types of theatrics in the past. For today, let me just say this. If the hearing is going to devolve into a sideshow or a forum simply for putting partisan points on the board, there's absolutely no reason for us to be here. I won't hesitate to adjourn the hearing if it gets to that point. It hasn't gotten there yet, but it's close. I'm saying this for the benefit of my colleagues on the committee and everyone in the audience. Let's have a civil discussion. I have no objection to having a spirited debate on these issues. My gosh, I was the author of the Americans with Disabilities Act, so I have very deep feelings about these issues. And I think most here on this committee have deep feelings as well. My hope is that in the end, our efforts will generate more light and less heat than we've seen in the most recent episodes of the healthcare debate. If we can't have that, we should all be spending our time on something more productive. So with that, and those few remarks, I now turn to our ranking member, Senator